If you would stand with me to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we're going to I need a motion to reconvene to open session. So moved. Thank you. Second, third. Okay. Okay, show of hands to reconvene. Thank you. Very good. Okay, do we do our special recognitions first then? We have lots of positives tonight. It's good to see so many outstanding events and groups and honors. Dr. Freeman, would you like to share your good news about the high school, please?
We would love to. For November, some things we wanted to share with everyone is that our National Honor Society inducted 53 new members on Tuesday, November 10th. Congratulations to the new and returning members who have excelled in scholarship, character, leadership, and service. Our HHS drama kids have donated over 200 items to the food pantry when they participated in Trick or Treat so Tots Can Eat. Also, the drama kids did a wonderful job during the fall musical Once Upon a Mattress, and we had great audiences each night. Volleyball has shared that their season records were the freshmen finished 13-4, JV 25-3-2, and varsity was 19-10-3. Postseason honors included all-conference first team Cassidy Frank and Megan Allison, all-conference second team Allie Combs and Kara Dunn, all-district first team Cassidy Frank, Megan Allison, and Kara Dunn, all-district second team Izzy Ringling, and all-region first team Cassidy Frank, first all-region honor for Hillsboro in more than 7 years. In the JCAA Large School Coach of the Year was Coach Karen Thompson. Students in Mrs. Darian's Career Skills Transition class are collecting toys for the Hillsboro Food Pantry right now. And the Twin City Optimist Art Contest was held on Sunday, November 8th. Hillsboro High School Photography Club submitted multiple entries in the photography category. Crystal Vogler won third place for her photo titled Light Behind the Mist. Haley Short and Crystal Vogler also won several honorable mention ribbons for their photos. And finally, the Missouri Options Program has had 5 students take the HiSET test this semester, and all 5 have passed with flying colors. This program will also have 4 early December graduates.
Awesome. Lots of good things. Our junior high has many good things to share too. I think Mrs. Laban is going to share that with us.
I am. The junior high sports teams just finished their fall season and represented our school well, both on and off the field. Every team finished the first quarter with a very solid team GPA. We're very proud of their accomplishments as student athletes. 8th grade football had a cumulative 3.1 GPA average. It's fantastic. Head coach Don Horn. Boys cross country, a 3.4 GPA, coached by Paul Holland. Girls cross country, a 3.5 GPA, coached by Lisa Etter. 8th grade volleyball, 3.5 GPA, coached by Kara Jokers. 7th grade volleyball, a 3.7 GPA, coached by Allie Erickson. The following students received a 4.0. Mackenzie Baker, Peyton Bingman, Peyton Gronborg, Sophia Marchetti, Chloe Nicholas, Evelyn Rowland, Zoe Wood, Elizabeth Beffa, Brianna Hart, Philip Byram, John Mosley, Brianna Langrehr, Donald Halupka, Mark Moore, Hayden Euler, and Michael Wright.
We also have a special recognition and a congratulations to extend to our Guardian Hawks, the PTO, on being awarded $120,000 from the Jefferson Memorial Community Foundation to build an all-inclusive playground at the primary. The new playground will feature equipment that students of all abilities and special needs can play on side by side. It will provide primary students with daily access to a playground. The Guardian Hawks received notification of the award shortly after their 1-year anniversary. Guardian Hawks and the primary have been working hard to raise funds for the new playground over the last 3 years and have saved up to $16,216.98. The Jefferson Memorial Community Foundation grant will make the new playground a reality by July 2016. Thank you to the Executive Board of the Guardian Hawks, President Laura Weber, Vice President Teresa Barner, Secretary Shannon Stone, Treasurer Sarah Duncan, Parliamentarian Amber Stroder, and all of the members for your efforts. This is a monumental achievement for our school community. Congratulations. We also have some very special students with us tonight that we would like to recognize. We have medals to hand out to those people. So our first group would be the boys cross country team, and that's coached by Mr. Tom Gordon. If you'd come forward. Come on. Mr. Gordon.
Smiles are on video.
Okay, Coach. To give you this. You're not running anymore, so you get your own medal. How about that? I have a couple of things. So these are representatives of the 2015 Hillsboro Boys Cross Country Team. They became the first team in school history to earn a district title, which is awesome. Senior Aaron Dugan was district champ with a time of 16:11. Finishing out the top 4 spots and earning a medal are sophomores Kevin Kessler, 4th place. Where's Kevin? There he is. Colton Vaughn, 5th place. And senior William Fitzpatrick, there he is, 9th place. Sophomore Christian Dugan rounded out the top 5 in 33rd place, with junior with Alec Sywick placing 35th, and Logan Galzinski in 36th place. Making the team as alternates were juniors Mike Ramsey, Luke Allison, and freshman Caleb Epley. The team finished 9th at the Class 4 Boys State Cross Country Championships on November 7th. So that's pretty incredible. We want to congratulate you guys for all of your hard work, and we're really happy for you. We'd also like to give a medal to Aaron Dugan, so if you want to step forward, Aaron. Mrs. Petrie is going to give you one. On November 7, 2015, Aaron Dugan became a 4-time state medalist and ended his Hillsboro High School career as the boys' most decorated cross-country runner in school history. State championships at Oak Hills Golf Course in Jefferson City. He was 20th in 2012, 10th in 2013, and 17th in 2014. Aaron has tied the former Hillsboro runner Savannah Brown, who was the class of 2003, on the girls' side for most all-time state finishes and places. He will be attending St. Louis University on a full NCAA Division I athletic scholarship. Okay, where is Kevin Kester? There he is. Step forward. On November 7th, Kevin finished the Class 4 state championship race in 25th place. He was recognized by being named to the Missouri State Cross Country All-State Team. Congratulations. And Isaiah Martin.
He's over here.
He's not here?
No, he's not cross country.
He's not cross country.
He's football. Oh, so we sit them down.
We can sit them down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen. Stand right there.
That's good.
Have center.
Turn around though, so I can see you. Okay. Last spring, when Isaiah was a freshman member of the boys track team, he qualified for the Missouri State Track and Field Championships that were held at Lincoln University in May. He competed in the 300-meter hurdles. He earned a state medal of 5th place with the time of 40.91 in the finals. So we wish to congratulate you and all right, thank you. Thank you. Once again, we want to congratulate all of these individuals for their accomplishments. Thank you, gentlemen, for representing the school in such a fabulous way. We are excited for you and look forward to many great things next year as well. So let's applaud them one more time. All right, the next item on the agenda then would be visitors to address the board. And I believe we have 2 visitors, Mr. Chris Tucker, is that right?
Yeah.
And Mr. Craig Calvert. Just a couple of pieces of information. You will be allowed 3 minutes to address the board. Please limit your comments to topics that are appropriate for the board. It's possible that the board president may interrupt you if your comments stray into an area that should not be discussed in open session. According to the Missouri Sunshine Law, there are limits. It limits the ability of board members to respond to your comments. Consequently, it is unlikely that the board will engage in a discussion of your topic during this meeting. Can't promise any of those things. So, Mr. Tucker, you can come sit up here. And I believe your topic has to do with football, does it not?
Yes.
Okay. You may begin.
I know you guys are considering whether or not to let the 7th grade football team go with the school. And I don't know if there's a further conversation maybe at a later year, but next year's 7th grade team is this year's 6th grade Super Bowl team under the tutelage of Jerry Arnold. Jerry Arnold's been coaching that team since its inception and has taken it to many championship matches. And so I think the team deserves to stay together. Under Jerry Arnold, they've been proven to be winners, but more than just winning on the field. I know one of the things we're talking about is helping them to be better equipped for high school football. They're not going to get better equipped than under Jerry Arnold, at least this year. Jerry not only teaches them how to win football, obviously Super Bowl, but he teaches them integrity. You know, I heard Ms. Laban talk about honoring being honorable on the field and off the field. And he's always giving these little snippets, you know, telling the kids, we work with respect, we don't boast, and we don't brag, and we don't bully. And so there's always these principles being taught. And so I think he's a guy that absolutely deserves to continue in that. And I also think even past that, there's a further conversation of, in the Gateway League, they play more games. The kids that don't play well, if there's more teams, get to play. If you're on a broader team where you're just going to stay on the wall. So you're not going to be better equipped as an individual that's less talented. So I just hope you'll consider that, especially with Jerry's team. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Calvert.
I'm here again this evening on the discussion of transgender policy and the policy that we're hoping that's going to get put into place hopefully tonight. If not, I once again would urge you all to call a special meeting to make said policy for several different reasons. The other thing that I want to talk to you about also is the fact that there are only 2 policies that are going to be discussed this evening, and I'm curious as to why the 2 policies that I dropped off last month aren't on the agenda to be discussed.
Thank you.
Alrighty.
All right. Moving on to business of the meeting. We have actions by consent that we need to approve this evening. We have the minutes from the previous monthly meeting and 2 special meetings. You have other items there to look at. Can I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda?
As presented.
So moved.
Second. Thank you. Any discussion? Any concerns? Okay. So if we're good, I guess we're ready to vote. Just a show of hands if you approve the agenda. All in favor, it carries. Okay. From there, we'll move to reports. We'll start with the superintendent's report.
All right. As with our usual procedures, I sent home to you information regarding some updates from the superintendent's office. One of the things kind of left out there was the MSBA video series. No formal direction was given on whether or not we wanted to purchase that for all the members to watch. Remember, there is a time limit on that, so it might be something we consider either the very 1st of December or the 1st of January, however you want to do that. I believe, Beth Ann, you remember, was it 45 days? What was the limit on that? 90, could be 90 days. 90 days. So I just want you to know that we haven't purchased that as of yet. The board didn't give us an official direction collectively. I also want to mention that according to policy BB-2, starting December 15, 2015 through January 19, 2016, will be board candidacy filings. We will have 3 seats that are open. Traditionally, we ran an ad with the surrounding schools in Jefferson County to save money. We all divided that out. However, due to the fact that we will have 2 seats for 3 years and 1 seat for 1 year, we'll have to run our own ad this year in the leader. So you see there information regarding section 115.342-1 of the Revised Missouri Statutes, talking about individuals that wishing to file must, as it reads here, any person who files for a candidate for election to a public office shall be disqualified from participation Any election for which the candidate has filed or such person is delinquent in any payment of any state income taxes, personal property taxes, or real property taxes on place of residence. As basically, you have to pay your taxes. If you want to declare for candidacy, all those have to be paid. Again, that's not the Hillsboro rule, that's the Missouri statute. Also, Mr. Bess, Juanita Dowd, and myself sat down on November 3rd with Trimco. If you remember, that was the company that had done the patching roof repair on top of the primary building. I did include a letter for you there. They addressed 10 areas with Ray, Juanita, and myself that they were looking to improve their procedures and processes and basically doing warranty work or repair work with individuals in the building without prior warning. There was a lot of things discussed, but the letter pretty well sums up their position and stance. Again, we've since then, Ray've done several repairs. They were done on the weekends, and we haven't had any residual odors or smells from that. So I just want to kind of bring that up if any patrons have questions. Other articles I placed in here are just some reads from the Missouri Department of Elementary and Secondary Education from their online edition, talking about national averages. The little spreadsheet shows you Missouri, how we performed against other national public schools, comparing our students' progress with other students on similar testing. I'm not going to highlight that. I'm not a big proponent of standardized testing. I think a one-shot glimpse doesn't show what a child's learned, and that kind of goes into the Missouri Association of School Administrators, which is in the Jefferson City paper, talked about assessment is just basically a picture of a kid, one snapshot, not a year of progress. It doesn't look at their ability to think creatively. It just looks at what they know basically analytically. So the standardized tests students present with much today do not measure critical thinking or creativity rather than recall and knowledge. So that's something that I thought was a very interesting read. If you glance on down, one other thing I wanted to bring your attention to was the number of states that are now requiring student growth in the classroom to be part of teacher evaluations. It seems like there are a lot of states in the United States that are doing that in some way, form, or fashion. So that's something you also want to read, kind of familiarize yourself with that. We've listed some upcoming things. So I want to go back to the top thing we mentioned about filing for board candidacy. If individuals are interested in doing that, be sure that you check when offices are open and available. Around Christmas, about that week, we have several employees that take off, so the office might be closed. We list that with the paper as well as post that in the facilities so individuals know how and when to present. Also, we have our teacher, administrator, board committee meeting coming up, so be sure those of you that sit on that committee are prepared for that meeting. And that's really all I have for you tonight.
Okay, so we are up to Mr. Bess for facilities and grounds.
Good evening, everyone. All right. In the report I sent to you for your viewing, you'll see that we were still looking and following up with the rayon situation at the junior high in coordination with Tom Gritchen out of St. Louis Rayon Corporation. He's been monitoring with a special monitoring system which allows us to monitor every hour, every day. And looking at those reports, I've learned a lot more myself, but looking at it a little bit from the point of view of occupancy. And that's when the teachers and the students are in class, okay? So from that period of time, the levels are not being elevated basically over the 4.0, which is the standard, or below, of course, if we can get it, of course. But there's not a real serious problem in those areas at that time by occupancy. Now on the Saturdays and Sundays, we can show you that they are very high, but the air conditioning systems, the fresh air systems are not on. And again, there's no one in the buildings. So We have really done a lot of investigation, and Tom thinks we still need to continue to monitor this. Of course, we will. But we have looked at putting a system in, which is a off-site system, fan system we can put in. I just got off the phone with Tom again about 2 hours ago. It looks like cost-wise, you're looking at about $600 to $700 to put a type of system in. Now, again, they can save us money, and that's one thing I will say with this corporation. They've done a great, outstanding job working with us while charging us, okay? They will actually, Tom will actually get us the equipment, the materials we need for about a little under $300, and we can put it in ourselves. So, and he would supervise it. He would help us make sure it's being put in properly, check it and all that, but it can be put in if we want to proceed and keep going with that. Again, we are continuing to monitor this area, and we have reports I can show you if you'd like to see it, of what those levels are and where they're affected and when they are affected. Okay, but we feel very comfortable with what is at least why there's occupancy in that building, at least in those areas. At least we're very content and very pleased that those numbers are not as high as we think they are. So. Okay.
Ray, can we talk about that first? I want to publicly thank Ray, Juanita, and his crew, doing a phenomenal job staying on top of this. You know, a few months ago we purchased some meters and placed in there, right, Ray?
We did.
And one of the problems we were having is that those meters would show the highest level of reading, and it would store in that unit. So when our staff members or our students saw those units, they would see a high level and think, oh man, it's 6.0. when it might have been 6.0 Sunday night at midnight. So that's one of the things. Ray, myself, Dr. Isaacson sat down and had a lengthy discussion that ultimately what it boils down to is what's safe for kids and what's good for teachers. And our discussion is that the rooms that were the two highest, we're going to put an exhaust system in because it's the right thing to do. Even though it's not high when people are there, it's still high. And targeting the two highest rooms, it's our hope that it will pull from the ground, because radon is a gas of decaying debris, and that will pull it and suction it out and blow it out of the building. That's even though our email from Tom did say that hourly measures show a consistently low compared to what the actionable level is. His email said multiple weeks of hourly measurement consistently show the occupied hours as well below the action level. But still, we know, our staff knows, it's a peace of mind for them, our kids, and our parents. So to me, that's a minimal amount to pay to have them come in and do it. So I just want to thank Ray for that. And I know the teachers appreciate their patience, because those beepers go off on those units, and hey, pay attention, it was high, but it was high on Sunday at midnight, not necessarily an hour ago. So I appreciate that, Ray.
When is this going to be?
Tom and I, like I said, we were just on the phone a couple hours ago, so we'll touch base again tomorrow for him to get us the equipment. It will take us probably a couple days to get through it, because we will have to drill through foundations as well as walls for us to be able to vent this all properly. So you'll be looking forward to the end of next week before we can actually get the whole project done.
But definitely get done before Christmas.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll get involved with it once Tom gives us what we're actually needing on the material.
And your cost, $300 cost of materials, is that for both rooms? Each room will be
Yes.
$300 each.
Correct.
Okay.
And Tom will be he has also committed to come out to the school district and have a meeting with the staff and the administration within the junior high. So he will actually come out and actually meet with the staff and discuss all the findings and what it means, and exactly to give a better presentation than I can. And he's willing to do that, and he looks at doing that this coming week after Thanksgiving. So he is planning on helping us a lot, and he's done an outstanding job for us. So anyway, we have not given up on the project. We will get it fixed. Okay. The other things we did with the approval, we looked at last week, and that's with the drainage systems. We were able to get the speed bumps we were talking about in. We will feel that will help us control two things. One, the safety issue of the traffic flow, because the traffic does go down there pretty quickly sometimes. But it also will support that drainage system that will take many years for it to deteriorate. So that's a long process for us, and we appreciate that. We did get the playgrounds completed. Well, I did not. Soft surfaces did. They've got the elementary and the primary both. They were here for many weeks. A lot longer than they thought because of weather, and they had to keep going from here to Iowa down to Texas, back up to here. So they had a lot of traveling to do, but they were able to get the job completed for us in both buildings, making it safe for us again for our children. So we got those gaps out of those play mats, so we're in good shape there, folks. And the roof at the elementary is almost completed. They ran into traffic with the weather process. They will finish hopefully late tomorrow evening after the school is out at 1:30. They'll come in about 2, and then we got a little section finished. And that roof, when we get done, so you'll know, that will have a 10-year warranty put on that roof when they're done with this type of new material. Putting that roof up to the fact that it'll be a 30-year roof before we even have to even look at doing anything to it, which is very good for the school district if you don't realize what the expense of putting a new roof is. So that's excellent for us, and we're going to do that for many roofs throughout the district. This program is going to be a very cost-efficient one for us. The October events and so forth, we did show 229 work orders being done. And the good news we have for you, we did find some vehicles. I'm going to show you some pictures. With the help of what you did with the amount of money you gave us with the $35,000, we did come in with that. These are 2 of the vehicles that we have picked. With the help of the local, I guess I can give you this one.
I know what it looks like.
Oh, you've been on it. You drove it. So these are the 2 vehicles we did get. The Chevy 2006 Chevrolet. This is a 3/4 ton pickup, 2500 heavy duty pickup. This will be used for helping the snow plow as many things throughout the district. You'll see that we were able to purchase this one. This came from St. Paul. Dr. Corman helped us with this a lot. I appreciate his help doing that with us. He's helped us try to get all these vehicles, get them in good shape for us as well. This one had about 24,000 miles on this one, so good deal on that. The next truck you'll see come also.
That was 15.
I'm sorry.
15.6.
15.6.
I think there's a $129 paper fee.
We have, there's what they call a dock fee or administration fee of $199, but we're going to come in pretty good pricing in that. So we'll work with them. The second one you'll see also comes from a local dealership down to Soda. This comes from Ozark Plaza. It's a 2009 Super Duty 350. It's a 1-ton. It's a utility type truck bed, and it's also 4-wheel drive, of course, with a V10. Very nice truck, about 74,000 miles on that one. Okay, they started right around 20,000 for them. We got them down to about 18.1. So we did really good. Looking at Blue Book prices on both these vehicles, we're in very, very good shape with pricing, guarantee. So these are going to be good. They don't have a lot of mileage, and they're going to be a big importance to our fleet. So thank you all for allowing us to go look for these. And Dr. Corbin, especially, thank you for your help. We are probably going to be cooking these up tomorrow, I hope. So, a few more little things I'll get out of here. Director Good, I have good news for you. After many years of being asked, we did pursue the request that Director Good asked us to do last month, and that was to look at the height of basketball goes. So we did, and he is correct. There is a requirement for each age group and what that height is, and the one we looked at was, of course, was elementary. It was 3rd and 4th graders. It is an 8-foot level. We took the side goals, which they had 6 goals in that gym, so we took the 4 on the sides and dropped them down to 8 foot.
Thank you.
We do have one more we got to finish because when we got ready to move the goal, it was falling apart basically. So we decided not to do that until he's ready to put that where it belongs. But we are going to get them all down. We will not adjust the main ones because we are a big school district and we like to help each other out. So there is some different grade levels coming over with administration help out of the elementary to use that gym. We do not want to change all the heights to those at the same time. So we have 4 at the right height, sir. So thank you very much. Other than that, happy Thanksgiving to all of you. And if there's anything else we can do for you, please let me know. All right? Any questions?
We need to have a facility meeting.
I'm sorry?
Are we good, or when do you have a meeting, or?
As soon as when the board committees are assigned.
Yeah, we gotta get all the
facility
assignments to the
committee, we're
assignment.
gonna have one. There's been other members expressed interest in doing a facility walkthrough with us. So that's kind of what we're holding off and tapping the brakes on.
Then we will. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Ray.
Thank you.
Next, we have A+ students. Dr. Freeman, you want to address us with that?
I'm bringing Mrs. Pierce with me.
That'd be awesome. We'll let her come.
Grab a chair. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay. Go ahead, Erin.
We would like to entertain the idea of having A+ class as a credit-bearing class. It has not been in the past. However, we do feel that the students do put forward a lot of effort. A lot of them do. They take good time in their class, but they also go on field trips with them. A lot of them come to their productions, the theater, when we have plays and musicals.
Giving up a very valuable spot in their schedules over their 4-year tenure at Hillsboro High School, and some of them are electing not to take that spot because they want to only fill it with credit-bearing courses. So we provided you with some background, some rationale, and some other schools that are already doing this. And then Aaron's also outlined for you how the course grade breakdown would be. There's 20% for formative assessments, and the rest would be 80%. And obviously, it's pretty much a performance-based class, but there are some requirements that the kids already have to do now and turn into Mrs. Pierce, but they're just not receiving any credit for it. So we just wanted you to have the information. It came up last board meeting. We were very excited that it did because we've been shot down with this in the past. But
Students, did they receive a grade for this class in the past?
they've never received
Never
a grade.
grade?
No.
And when it says attendance, I'm assuming that's the 95% for the class as well as, the other question I had, I know some of the other schools do a pass-fail for credit instead of an actual grade. Is that
I
what
think that
you,
would make
okay.
the most sense.
Well, to me, that makes sense too, but I didn't see that in here, so.
We're not actually with the students as they're out in the field every
Right.
day. So it would be a lot to ask
Right.
another classroom teacher in another building to assess them for those things. But Erin collects all the artifacts and all the data, and so she can, she could do that now, no problem.
I think we could do it with a Google form, so we could have the teachers do a real quick evaluation as part of it.
So how or when does that accomplish?
Well, it wouldn't be for this year because we've already begun the school year, but we would love for you to take this into consideration, and we can start it as early as next school year. Totally up to you.
Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion that we allow the high school to initiate this program as a credit bearing.
So we can't make the motion?
Okay, then I won't make it. Tell me that.
It's not, you don't have it on the agenda as an actual item, this is a report.
information.
So if you want to do that, what you'll need to do is suspend the agenda, then which I would not encourage at this time doing as it was posted, and let the public know what you're going to do. So what you can do is add it to the December agenda for further discussion and debate with the board, if that's the pleasure.
Okay. That
So
works.
I think what she said was she moved it to be placed on a December agenda as an action item.
That is correct, that's what I heard.
Yeah.
Second.
Don't need that. We'll have Ms. Beth Ann place it on there for the board to vote on in December.
All right,
Well,
thank
it's
you
a
so
great
much.
program.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you, ladies.
we appreciate you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you, ladies, for the work on that.
Okay, so I believe we do not have any unfinished business at this time. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, none at this time, it says. Big letters in case you can't read it. All right, so we'll move on to new business. The first item then is the approval of the district audit by Daniel Jones and Associates, and I believe you found some information at your seat moments ago. So I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the 2014-15 district audit as presented. Thank you, Mary.
Second.
Sorry. Okay, discussion. Call Mrs. Gaines to the front. I'm calling her. I'm phoning a friend.
Daniel Jones and Associates did our audit again this year. Mark Janish is here with Daniel Jones and Associates to kind of go over that with you. I do want to let you know we had an audit committee meeting on the 16th. I met with Mrs. Petrie. Street was unable to be there, and some other people who are closely tied to things that are being audited. And we kind of went over the purpose of the audit, what the auditors come in and look at, just so that everybody understood what's going on when we have this big packet of paper sitting in front of us.
Thank you. On behalf of Daniel Jones and Associates, I'd like to thank the board for giving us the opportunity to audit Hillsboro School District for the year ended June 30, 2015. I'd also like to thank Kelly and all the staff for all their help during the audit and for how organized the information was presented. We as auditors are look at the district and issue opinions as to whether or not the school district has been presented fairly in all material respects, has any material misstatements in financial data, internal control, and their federal programs. We have issued opinions on pages 1, 44, and 49, and a report on compliance on page 51 on these items. For the opinion on page 1, the school district received an unmodified opinion on the financial statements, which is the highest opinion the district can receive. The opinion on page 44 discusses how the district was in compliance with state issues, such as transportation, budgets, and attendance. The opinion on page 49 discusses how the district was in compliance with internal controls and that the financial statements are free from material misstatements. Reported on compliance on page 51 is a report required by DESI that discusses internal control, for which we found no instances of material weaknesses. I'd also like to note on page 28, it's a new footnote for retirement that adopted GASB 68 and 71. This footnote shows the portion of the unfunded peers and PSRS pension that is applicable to the district. It also shows the actuarial assumptions made to come up with the numbers and historical contribution amounts. All of this information was provided by peers and PSRS and is presented for informational purposes only. And in closing, I'd like to again thank the board for the opportunity and be willing to answer any questions about this.
Any questions or issues? What? Okay. We're all good? Okay. Thank you for all your hard work, and Mrs. Ginge as well. Apparently you were very organized. And we received a good rating, so that's important.
Yeah, A on report card.
Very good. We'll put it on the refrigerator.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other thoughts? So we still have a motion on the floor to approve the audit. So, all in favor, raise your hand. Okay, very good. Next item has to do with the approval of bills for payment. In the amount of $612,956.49. I need a motion to approve the bills for the payment as such.
So,
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you.
just gonna spin this.
Discussion. Any thoughts, questions?
Director Good asked that we try to look into, pull up just the very first page, chart of account number, to try to put more of a description of what the account it is coming from. So Mrs. Ginch and I have spoken several times. That is a special report that we have to develop, or either have the company develop for us. So we're trying to figure out the best way to proceed with that. And I understand Director Good's question of, in order of transparency, our patrons, they don't know what a 601411 6410 is, which is a function object code used by DESE accounting manual. So we're trying to, that's important for us to know, but we understand that the public might not know what that means. So just want to give you a brief update there, sir.
Thank you.
Any other points of interest or questions? Okay, then we'll call for a vote. Let's do a roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Welker?
I abstain due to reimbursement from conference. Okay, the conference.
Mr. Cruz?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Erickson? Mr. Stevenson?
Yes.
Mrs. Petrie? Both of them are here. Mrs. Petrie? Mr. Good?
Yes.
Mrs. Tree?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries then. Very good. Next subject has to do with the purchase of employee time clocks and the equipment and the support for this program. I need a motion to approve the purchase of employee time clocks and support services from Time Clocks Plus for the revised cost. Do I have a motion? Thank you. Thank you. Like farm. Okay, discussion.
We sent out to you. First, I just want to publicly thank Dr. Isaacson. He's worked very diligently to continue to get these costs down for you as a district. And initially, the discussion came about during the spring, summer discussion with our staff under Meet and Confer about moving pay cycles up, moving to a twice-a-month pay cycle, or various options the board could pursue. At that time, and over the past 2 years, it's been a discussion. We can't move to that system until we have accurate, let me rephrase that, until we have the ability for time clocks to speak to our accounting system. Because right now we're using paper system. We have to wait for them to be checked by various buildings, if you will, or managers of certain departments or directors, and then that information to get to us and for us to be hand entered. So it takes a lot of time. In fact, our cutoff is the 10th, and I write Mrs. Ginch for a 20th payroll because of all the time that goes into that. Dr. Isaacson has done a great job. I think the initial cost was upwards of $60,000 or $65,000, and he kept dwindling them down, and I think he really got another $4,500, $5,000 knocked off for you the other night. So that is a revised cost that I think came out in your packet. Was it Friday, Dr. Isaacson? You sent that, or
Correct.
a new email. So you can see the cost now that's going to be included in this product. So again, the focus is, and if you look at the pictures of, I think that actually came out with the packet, the time clock is going to be thumb scanned. And the reason we're doing that is we have employees that move from position to position. They can change that position on any little kiosk, if you will, whether they're in transportation or whether they're food service, or whether they're going from junior high to high school as a para, or whatever that role might be. We can track that employee, and they will actually log them out and log them in various positions on the screen. Oh, there you go, touch screen. There it is right there. So you see the thumb scan there on the side, and the little biometric camera, proximity reader, all those things kind of going into this. So I'd like to defer to Dr. Isaacson if it needs providing any more information I might have omitted.
Well, in addition, our substitutes that are doing our long-term sub will be using this also. So we have accurate tracking for our ACA to remain in compliance with that.
And I do want to say that this doesn't mean that the board is moving to a different paying system for our staff. I want to be very open about that. But this was a first step that had to be done before the board could even consider making any changes. But we need this anyway, due to the fact that John said, Dr. Isaacson said, with ACA requirements, you don't want to pay insurance and taxpayer dollars spent on individuals because they work too many hours for you. But the rationale's there for you. It's our recommendation that if you would accept this, the current, we spoke with another company, Dr. Isaacson, it was like 75 or 85,000.
It was right in the ballpark as far as actually a little cheaper prior to the reduction again on the one-time cost. The issue with Kronos is it's $17,000 a year recurring as opposed to the $6,000.
Was it really the Cyber Monday discount you got?
Yeah, the gentleman called me on Friday and asked me, he's like, how's it going? I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, do I need to knock some more off? I'm like, if you would. And he did.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
So he said, as long as, I said we're having a board meeting, and then we would present it. So I'll look into it.
Creative.
Yeah.
How did we come up with the number of them? How did we come up with the number of them that we need?
The total number of machines we needed, I think we just...
Well, we have one in each of the buildings, attendance centers, maintenance, 2 in the high school, 2 in the primary, and 1 in all the, administration building would need 1, transportation, and so that's how we came up with that.
And didn't you get additional users?
We have roughly 250 classified employees. The 50 additional users are the substitutes that are working frequently to track their hours for ACA.
How often do you have to upgrade? Or
The upgrade, they just released the new version 7, and you get to keep that version through version 8. And so they said it basically every 2 versions you have to change with 5-6 years anticipated, since it was brand new, this new version.
For the ongoing annual cost, is there a contract that locks that in for a certain period of time, or?
That is until we would change versions, that's the amount that I was quoted for the version 7 support, because you're paying for that particular version. Up until when we would change to a version 9, because we will skip 8, then there would be probably a cost increase.
But you're just updating the software, not the whole machine. Not
Correct. This is
replacing
the
machine.
soft, the
Right,
computer
okay.
software.
Is this an item that was budgeted? Where does it come from?
it's budgeted. Okay.
She was asking about security, how secure they were, if anyone could hack the system and increase their hours. And I said, well, you're using a thumb, so it's, you can't, and that's kind of the whole deal of using a thumb. You can track people
Right.
and make sure the timing's accurate.
It's an optional feature.
A picture.
I don't know, I'm looking to see if the cameras, I think the camera's not option.
Some biometric can be captured. Install it.
Let's hope not. Okay, any other items?
Mrs. Gaines, you did say we
Questions?
budgeted for this, correct, this year?
Yes. Okay, and we're within the
And we're
budget?
within that budget amount?
Yep, we are. Okay. Okay. So, I guess if nobody has any other questions, we'll bring it to a vote then to approve this system. Just a show of hands then. All in favor? Very good. Next, we're looking at the approval of early graduates. I need a motion to grant approval to early graduation applications And these applications are contingent upon all requirements for graduation being satisfied by September 18th.
About
Sorry, December. December's a better month for that. December 18th, 2015.
So moved.
Thank you. Second. Okay. Lisa over here. Okay. I guess discussion. Don't know if.
I have one. On
questions?
I do.
Okay.
I know we do this a lot, but what about the junior? Is that, do we do that for juniors a lot?
Not very often, but we have, I can think
For
of.
juniors?
I know we've socially promoted one junior to graduate early.
Right.
For the most part, they're not allowed to graduate more than one semester before their cohort that they entered kindergarten with.
Right.
So they may be a junior that was retained at one point.
Is that the case?
But in addition to that, we have had some special circumstances where we have socially promoted a student who was age-wise and cohort-wise junior, but met all of the requirements.
I saw that. Is that the case on this one? Or?
No,
Okay.
these are all seniors.
There's a
The
junior.
date says April. I had the same question.
Yes.
The date of the letter was April
It was last
2015.
She wrote.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I had the same question otherwise.
Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I
So
remember.
they're all seniors.
I had the same
That question could come up later, you never know.
question. No, sorry.
Any other comments?
No, will they walk in
Yes.
spring?
Well, they're invited to, they don't have to, it's not
Several
mandatory.
said
But we
no.
encourage them to come to graduation, to come to prom, do all of the, go on team field trip, all those things.
Is it normal that means?
That's what, is this a normal average for?
Yeah,
Is that
pretty much, yeah.
One of them asked for permission to wear a military uniform in the same letter. Is that
That's fine too.
something we
Yes.
do? I mean,
Sure.
that's not something we have to approve.
We recognize our military, those entering the military, they sit in the front row, and if they choose to wear their uniform instead of cap and gown, that's absolutely acceptable. Hot, but acceptable.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes it wasn't like
Last
last
year.
year.
Yeah.
I had my winter coat and gloves.
Very good.
Okay. I guess we will take our vote then. Show of hands then. All in favor? All right. Okay, we're looking at policies. We have several listed. I don't know if it's necessary for me to read all of them. You'll see that list there. So this will count as it's the first read, which is also the second discussion. And so no vote is needed tonight on all of these different policies. But these were the policies that we discussed at the Policy Review Committee. Ms. Petrie, Dr. Corman, and myself were in attendance for those, and our board secretary as well. So we discussed all of these with that committee.
Can we scroll up so folks can see which one? The underneath revisions included, it has the
Steve,
title.
can you scroll up, please?
Tells you what the subject matter is.
No, on the executive summary, just scroll.
Oh, just scroll down. There you go.
There you go.
If you would, I would like to call your attention specifically to 4 particular policies that are up for review. And I would like you to maybe be thinking about that, communicate with myself, board president, so we can have that conversation. One is F, Frank, Eric, Frank. That's policy FEF, Frank, Eric, Frank. This policy is with construction contracts, bids, and awards. One of the questions brought up by the CFO, Mrs. Ginge, was there might need to be a slightly higher threshold for change orders because some change orders are needed, but yet I think what's asked in here was 5,000. Is that right, Mrs. Ginge? So that's something that we would like for you to consider, think about, maybe discuss at our next meeting prior to adopting this policy. Basically, it is a change order to be made without a formal meeting. When you're building a building, Similar to my last district, we had a gas line that popped up. We had to move. There was no option around it, or you weren't going to finish your building. It was more than $5,000. If that were the case here, we'd have to have a special meeting to approve that change order. So something to consider there. Also, policy George, Cat, Paul, Barry. That's GCPB. The policy committee has asked that the board consider strengthening this policy with regard to early resignations, specifically with time into the school year considered, such as September, November. They did approve that, but they have asked, and it was the teachers on that committee that brought that forward and said that they do not like the fact, they think it's a disruption to the learning environment to lose a staff member in September or October, that maybe the board needs to consider some type of liquidated type damages or a buyout clause within their contracts for employees that try to get out in September, November, or later. Next one is IGDA. There was a question brought up, Ms. Johnston, you might have to help me here. As recommended, or Board of Education decide on grades 9 through 12. Director Peter, do you remember?
That was me, I think, that brought it up.
I'm trying to scroll down through here to remember what that was.
Because the policy seemed to apply to only 9 through 12 and student-led activities, and asked like, junior high FCA was one of the examples I used.
Only students in secondary schools will be allowed to initiate groups whose meetings or activities are held on district property. For purposes of this policy, a secondary school is a school student enrolled in grades 9 through 12. And the question was brought up, well, what happens if we have a group that wants to meet at the junior high, a student-initiated group? So that's correct. Thank you, Director Good. Needs to be some consideration there from the board as to which direction you want to modify this policy. And last one that I have for you is JHCD, James, Harry, Cat, David. And just wanted to point out that Nurse Ziegler had put some comments in there, but okayed with recommendations, so I want you to be sure to glance over that policy, which is administration of medications to students. And I wanted to point out some of the information on here, and it might take our resident pharmacist to help us through all of that. We talk about over-the-counter, prescription, dietary supplements. There's a lot of things in here. For example, possession of self-administration of medications, down at the end of page 5, that I really think that we need to pay close attention to as a school district. And you'll see at the top of page 6, when it talks about students with IEPs that might have to have self-administered medications, or students with 504 plans with like severe peanut allergies that have to carry around their EpiPens, which is not really traditional in a school setting because kids have to turn in their medicine. So that's, again, just kind of glance through that, and those are really the ones I wanted to point out for you to kind of review.
Well, and I would like to have some, like the 9 through 12, I had a note about that as well. And Heath or Jim are not here to weigh in on that, so I would like to have them weigh in and talk about it.
We did talk about it in the committee.
Yes, we did.
Okay, any other concerns or issues with the policies, questions? Should be reading through those a little bit more, and the next meeting will be the final read.
And so all of them would take place immediately?
That's the key question.
Except for?
Board.
Okay.
Right, there are some that in the past, you remember, understanding with your staff, where the policies that govern the teachers did not go into effect until the next July.
Unless it
is a change in law, which is what we discussed. So that's what we will look through. If that's the board's stance, if it's due to a legal change, then it's okay to hold off. We're fine with that. The committee, I know, will understand.
Okay. Moving on, we will be addressing policies GCD, GCI, and GDC. These are still in relationship to BBFA, is that correct? We had some comments that were given to us earlier by MSBA, their thoughts and opinions about any changes that we should make or not make.
Is this the original comments that we made that one, or is this new? Right.
You'll need to
Nuisance
click on your tab, and go back to executive session. That's where the attorney comments are. The attorney comments for the public were omitted. So if the board, as we talk, wants to discuss the comments, you'll have to do it out loud because it's not on for the public view.
So basically what we need to do is find out what the will of the board is tonight regarding these 3 policies.
Well, the policies that were in the open portion, are those with the changes to conform with the new BBFA?
The policy, yes.
Because we'd send it back
They're
to make sure
proposed,
they conform with.
they're proposed that the board proposed to MSBA or asked them to align. MSBA has sent you back attorney comments. And all those comments, including the policy sent back, is what the public is seeing now. But they're not seeing the attorney comments, which is in your executive session.
Those should be all right.
Yes, that's what you said. So, I mean, if you want, I can read them, or someone else can read them aloud to the public.
Comments.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's pages. Yeah.
Would you like reading?
Transparency.
Okay.
The comments on GCI, which is Professional Staff Assignment Transfer. With that, the board has asked that the newly adopted policy BBFA have these 3 outstanding policies aligned to it. And attorney comments on policy GCI read, while this language is ideal, most districts find it quite difficult to apply. Please note that this language is quite broad and states that employees cannot be under the supervision, quote, close quote, and does not limit it to direct supervision. This is also not limited to central office staff, but applies to all supervisors in the district. So, for example, a bus driver could be, quote, under the supervision, close quote, of a principal if he or she transports students from that particular building, even if a principal is not the direct supervisor, the one who evaluates the bus driver. This language is particularly concerning if it involves central office staff members. For example, if a teacher works for the district and then his or her relative within 2 degrees is employed by the district as an assistant superintendent, arguably the teacher is under the supervision of the assistant superintendent and will be, no matter where the teacher is, moved in the district. Then what happens? Question mark. The proposed policy language does not address situations where there is no place to transfer an employee out of the supervision of a relative. Does one of the relatives get fired? Will this keep a relative from being hired at all? I strongly recommend, this is the attorney's comments, that the district reconsider this language or clarify it to address the above concerns. GCI.
Didn't
We
we talk about
we
clarifying
were
that
supposed
to
to have
direct
direct.
Yeah, that's the same
supervision?
comment we had last time.
Yeah.
But what they're saying is direct supervision. Let's say Scott Reednauer is at the intermediate and his wife is driving a bus for the district. When she pulls onto the lot, even though he does not supervise her, he is still supervising her while she is on the lot of his building or transporting his kids.
I thought we had a note in there that would be the person that evaluates them.
Yeah, these are the comments we had before, and we
Right.
addressed, I thought we addressed that one before we sent it
That
back.
didn't get sent. And we had inserted the word direct in there because that is the,
That was the BBFA policy. That was the BBFA policy. And
Well-
we sent all these 3 and said we want these 3 to align to BBFA.
well, we want
And
this
it's
direct.
my understanding
supervision
that
as
this
well.
is what we got back.
But if we had a direct in BBFA, why wouldn't they have done it here? if they were-
Do what now?
If we had a direct in BBFA, why, and we sent it back and said make them align, why didn't they do that?
Because this is what they're saying.
This is supervisor.
I thought we also.
They're saying that.
Lawyers never listen.
Do what?
I thought we also said that if someone else was gonna be hired above them, they'd have to resign.
Right.
Just ditto what we did on the.
You can make it read however you want it to read. I'm just telling you that when we sent it in, right, Beth Ann, this is the emails we got back.
We sent it to the BBFA and it said align these 3 policies to be in line legally with the BBFA. And the attorney sent back and says, change is made at the district's request. You know, this is what they think.
So I don't think they've changed their comments. They're saying changes made at the district's request. Here are the attorney's comments.
Okay, but they didn't send us any kind of red line compared to what we sent them back to change, so.
Correct.
we tell them
Because
from
they're
now
saying
on
it's
they
your
can do that.
decision to change how you want it to change and read how you want it to read, but they're telling you changing that could cause you potential problems. That's what they're saying. That's why they're not drafting language for you. Now, we could go back and say the board expects you to draft some language for them.
And that's our goal.
And they will draft it.
And this is
I
our
hope.
goal.
But that's kind of what we told them this time.
Well, I mean, that's my point. So, I mean, they need to change the policy so that they can match BBFA, what we put in.
Okay.
And they need to send a red line version so that we can tell what the heck they think.
Okay. Did you jot that down, Beth Ann? Yes, well, it's reading the same, but as you read that top line, changes made at the district's request. This wasn't on the last copy.
Don't
Yeah.
charge us another hour for doing the same thing.
Okay.
So we will send it back and get it back to you. That's the best we can do. All right, we will request a red line copy for you to review.
Now, the other 2, I do have a question, and see if anybody reads this differently than I. On both GCD and GDC, this professional staff and support staff, I'm going to tell you exactly where this is. On looking at GCD, and it's on page 4, and it is about midway down, the paragraph that starts, a spouse of a board member will only be hired to fill a vacant or new position if the position has been advertised, da-da-da. Well, that should not happen anymore with BBFA. And then halfway down that paragraph, it says, if the employment conforms with policy BBFA's restrictions on the employment of board members' relatives.
Okay, the reason you're seeing that, there was a revision, I believe, of this policy. And that's what the revision was. That was prior to the board asking them to align it to the new BBFA.
So
that's why that's in there.
This hasn't been, because
Right.
it's the same on both, and to me, that whole paragraph, we originally,
Sure.
way back before this was discussed, if we took that out, then it would align. And
Right.
with the discussion, we said, let them do it, but it's still there.
Right, and you read G at the very top of page 1 where it says the district has instructed MSBA to remove language from this policy.
Right.
So I think all they did was add one line and didn't do anything else.
Well,
Because they still have the same stance. But we will go back and say it's the expectation of the Hillsboro R3 School Board that you make this align with BBFA and send a red line version for them to review.
yeah.
I mean, that's pretty simple, and I can do it on all 3 of the policies.
Is there anybody else that,
Yes.
I mean, when I kept reading that, to me, that should not even apply to us anymore.
Well, that's what, right. It should have been now.
That
Part of what
was-
we discussed was why we
right.
sent it back and said,
Right.
he's on.
So we don't have to have a motion for discussion, so we just have.
Right. So
Become
we'll
old
wait,
business. This is old
right.
business.
So we'll wait to hear from them again. Maybe they'll help us the next time.
So we need,
We'll be.
We didn't have a motion.
Didn't have a motion.
Okay.
I will be more than happy to forward to you Beth Ann's email where she was very specific in what they were supposed to do, if you would like to review it.
she did.
And the issue is, though, it's frustrating because that's sometimes what you get. I'm on camera, so.
You're all right.
We get it. Okay, so we're gonna table this and hopefully be able to finish it up next week.
If you take a motion to table, that means table to the, before the meeting's conducted, but table. to be addressed. I think you probably make a motion for this to be tabled and brought back up in the December meeting is what the motion is to say.
Okay, so I guess we're gonna make a motion then to table this item and have it brought back up again during the December meeting. Somebody, okay, Beth and Eric, any more discussion on that before we vote? Okay, all in favor? All right, very good. So does that work then?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
New business tax.
Pardon me, I'm going back to the
Yes.
business, right. Okay, so,
But then-
continuing in the new business category, we are considering and looking at, oh, there it is, the ACAE versions. We do have 2 versions in the packet to consider. And we need to know what the will of the board is regarding this particular policy. So we don't have to make a motion. Well, why don't we make a motion?
Entertain a motion to approve the ACPE and get on board discussion. Change your vote, modify it.
To approve which version? Because there's 3 versions. We don't have?
Okay, I'm just going to talk, that's out of the point of order, but
Well, somebody
it's out of Robert's rules, so I'm going to go ahead and go forward. These 2 policies were brought up to the policy committee. The committee of staff members, teachers, was a little split, and the teachers representing the high school, and Director Petrie, you helped me out with this, or Director Welker, the staff members that were not in the high school liked, I believe, policy number 2.
Well, the second one, more strict.
They wanted the more strict of the 2 policies. The difference in the policies are the first policy is aligned with the Office of Civil Rights and Department of Justice and their findings under Title IX. Policy 2, option 2, goes basically the other end of the spectrum, which means no restrooms, no bathrooms. The staff members representing the high school, their belief was that version 1 was a good version, but felt something needed to happen with locker room utilization. They said currently that the restrooms were not an issue at the high school. They had restrooms for transgender students. They had accommodations for students that wanted more privacy, and even stricter accommodations, meaning restrooms that are one stall. So any student could feel welcome in using the restroom there. But yet, the high school staff members still said something needed to happen with the locker room situation. I guess that's, did I leave anything out? Is there any more updates?
Well, and I took it as, I'm not sure that the high school actually approved one or the other. They basically said they didn't have a stance like the MSTA group did. But that's when I asked, how are the inclusive restrooms working? And they had seen no issues with them at this point. And I guess high school administrators could give us a...
How are the inclusive restrooms working in the high school?
Initially, when they were first installed, I guess the signage was installed, there was a bit of confusion. So we stood outside the restrooms and we gave lessons to which restroom you would choose if you wanted to use those restrooms. And since then, there was one concern brought to myself. I don't know if Mrs. Dix or Mr. Marino, I think they would have told me right away. It's kind of a hot topic. But we have not had any other concerns. There was one concern probably about a week and a half after we installed the signs, and after that we have heard nothing more. So
I can tell you from being at the Once Upon a Mattress Play, we had many adults who didn't know which restroom they were supposed to go into. My husband walked in to the men's and there were 2 ladies in there. It was very confusing for the adults that were there for the first time. They had not a clue. So one thing that needs to be done is the signage needs to make more
I
sense
think there
because
needs
adults
to be
are
an
like,
explanation
"What?"
over the drinking fountain for evening events
Absolutely.
when we are not necessarily there with them, because we're there with the students, we took care of that situation. But I was also told that another event that an outside group hosted was there, and that some of the parents had a hard time figuring out which was which.
the over 50 crowd was especially,
I can understand.
well, you know, a lot of the adults, they just didn't know where they were supposed to go.
You know, when I went, I used the restroom that night at the play, and I chose the normal one that's across from the gyms. And the condition of it, I guess there's 2 bathrooms on that floor, and the one that's across from the gym, the bathroom seemed pretty not in good shape. There was a toilet down, it was just dirty, and I was thinking, there was not a lot of people to play, but when you think of basketball season starting, and you've got this one small bathroom that people are going to choose over a transgender one, I don't know if it's the right facility.
Okay. Well, maybe that's an issue that Mr. Best needs to talk with the high school crew that's cleaning that restroom. That sounds like a repair, right?
So I guess do we need a separate work session on this? You know, I personally don't like having a transgender student policy. I don't know why you create policy to carve out students. We need a facility use policy. I firmly believe that we need that, but why do we create policies that carve out special students? That's
correct.
That's my issue with part of this right off the bat. You know, and so do we need more time? Do we need to set a work session to do that? Do we need a public hearing? How do we, you know, that's my question, is how do we go forward with this? We've got, you know, the other policies out there to consider. Do we, to really have a discussion about that, how do we want to do that?
Well, and I agree, because to me, there's parts of all of these that I appreciate, like the desire and greater privacy. To me, it's not just about transgender. It could be a pregnant teen. It could be, you know, breastfeeding mom. Definitely more than just what we've been through. So it's kind of mind-blowing with so many issues.
I thought that they volunteered, the Department of Justice and the OC, I think we were going to do a town talk.
At the invitation of the board, they said they would come.
We need to do that right away. Because they were going to talk about a lot of things that could affect our decision. Like funding, that's kind of a concern.
I just think with how some of these court cases are leaning in the school's favors right now, to jump on a policy that I don't think is going to be great for the kids. I'm not ready for.
Sure.
What happened with the most recent Chicago one that they said they were going to pull the funding?
They have 30 days to enter into a resolution agreement.
But then it goes to the court system?
And then once it goes to court is when they put your funds on hold.
And they're a wealthy school.
And they put your funds on hold when they say, they put your funds on hold,
They pull them.
have they physically done that with any school system that
No.
we know of in the country?
No, because the majority of schools can't afford to lose that kind of money. For us, it's I don't give you misfigures. I thought it was 2.1. I had our accountant figure it, or our auditor figure it up for me, but I thought it was around 1.2 or 2.1 million.
All the programs.
It's all federal programs, so it'd be 2.1 million roughly that would be pulled from your federal funding. For us, I mean, that's I can't speak for them. I don't know any other district, but that's what you'd be looking at.
There's a long stretch of time between us getting there.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
We talk about complaints, investigations, a couple of years. In fact, that case was, I think, from 2013, and it's 2 years later.
In the meantime, the Virginia cases and Pennsylvania cases are moving forward, so before we get there, a lot more than that.
What will happen is when those court systems start being at odds is when the United States Supreme Court will take it over.
And that may take 2 to 3 years.
It might take a lot longer.
It'll take longer.
Yeah, 5 years or something.
So we do have to do some type of guidance here. So we don't have to go through this again.
So I've heard having an open forum type meeting, and I've heard a suggestion made to have a special session to work on this. What are your thoughts about doing this special session before, after a meeting from the Department of, is it the Department of Justice or the?
They said they would do a town hall forum
Okay.
for the citizens.
Okay, do you want to do that before or after that meeting? You know, I don't know what.
Well, and I look at those as being very liberal. I think we also need to look at the more conservative side as well.
Well,
When
have
we
more than
talked
one
about
speaker.
that, we talked about, you know, avenues for more, huh?
I think that when the Department of Justice conversation came to effect, it was at the height of the transgender issue the district was facing. So the public in general would understand what the district could potentially be looking at.
Correct.
So, I mean, my question is, does the board want to pull that scab off that wound? Or do we want to try to move forward with our public and make that decision?
It's already been pulled.
Well, your options are have the work session, discuss the policy, then determine if you want to have a public hearing on the policies. That would be the board come together, the board talk about the policies, the board research it, and then not vote to accept them until you have the public's comment.
Okay.
Because getting the public's comment now, you pretty well know as a board where the public will stand, and we understand that. And we can appreciate that, value their opinion.
Sure.
But that gives us a chance to work up a mock policy, present it to them, and then do public comments on it.
Correct. So the next thought then would be, when do you want to have this special meeting? How soon? I think sometime in December. But within the first 2 weeks of December?
I think if you're gonna do it in December, it's gotta be.
Like the 10th?
It's a Thursday.
I need all the administrators to pull out their calendars so we be sure we don't get on any activities, because we're going to have a lot of band programs on the 15th. We're going to have choir concerts. So let's be sure we don't tread on any of that time.
There's a Christmas show in the town, the primary.
There's a 4th grade choir concert.
On the 10th?
Oh, no, that's the 15th.
That's the 15th.
The 10th is the
Primary.
Monty Christmas show students, so.
10th.
We have a
Jeff-
grade or intermediate choir concert.
On the 10th.
All right.
What about the 8th?
One more time.
6th grade choir, or 5th and 6th grade choir
Okay,
concert
so
on
we
the
need to
10th.
move it off of that. The 8th is TAB meeting, which we can meet after that,
After
though.
tab.
Sure.
There's a winter choir concert that evening.
On the 8th, okay. How are Wednesday nights looking? I know a lot of you have obligations.
There's no choir concert that.
What about Monday, December the 7th? What do you got there?
We got 7th grade seniors performance at the primary from 7 to 8.
Okay,
Start disciples from
okay.
That's all week.
Monday the 14th?
I don't have anything.
varsity boys basketball at home against St. J. 9 JV varsity starting at 5 o'clock. Junior high basketball at 25 9.
Basketball probably impact the least
About
amount.
December the
of
29th.
Yeah.
There's no choir.
That is Monday the 14th?
Yes.
No, at church.
That's the Monday of that board meeting.
The 14th.
Right. That's Monday.
That's two nights.
Yeah, I think the junior high might have a choir concert that night, but it's not on the calendar. They might
On which
not.
night? The 14th they don't.
They
Junior high
don't?
doesn't. Huh.
Oh, you would know.
Yeah.
When is it?
What about December 3rd?
I don't know.
John committee meeting.
It would be on my calendar.
I've got either the 13th or the 14th.
What about December the
13th.
3rd?
It's on that Sunday.
That's next week.
Is that enough time for the board to review that? And
HR meeting is that night.
What was wrong with 14?
Six.
You know how much Johnny gave us to look at for the HR meeting?
I know.
What was wrong with 14?
14th,
It's a Monday, a board meeting.
it's a Monday, a board meeting week. You have 2 meetings in 1 week, if you're okay with that.
Maybe not us, but.
How's the 14th work? Okay. All right. 6 o'clock, or you want to do it 5 o'clock?
Well, we'd rather do 7.
Do it 7 o'clock?
6 for me, 7 for him, but 7 is fine with me.
Okay. December the 14th at 7, and it will be an open session because it is board policy discussion. Okay.
And then we have our regular meeting then on
You
the
have your-
17th, right?
I thought it was the 18th.
That's a Friday.
17th.
That's okay. Okay, so we will come back to this. This gets us to the Board of Education Committee assignments. I hope you all had a chance to look at those and kind of shuffle things a little bit. And the issue is to find out what the board wants to do regarding 2 of the committees, extracurricular and the nurse meet and confer. We can only have 3 board members on those committees. And I can come off of the nurse meet and confer. I can't, I have to be there. Okay, so, sorry. Anybody else volunteer? Because there's 4 of you there. Okay, so that's okay? Okay, so then we go back to the extracurricular committee. It's Lewis, Stevenson, Good, and Chris.
I don't care.
You're dying to be on?
You can take me off.
You take me off, I think.
Okay. So, who are we taking off?
Whoever.
This part.
Flip a coin, I don't care.
Flip a coin. Pick a number. Rock, paper, scissors. That's what Coach Gordon does all the time. Okay, you're gonna arm wrestle or something for it?
You take me off.
Okay, we'll take Mr. Good. Thank you. Is that good? All right. Moving on, we have the issue considering an addition of 7th grade football. That this would start possibly, if it were to start in 2016-17. So we need to know what the school board. We have to look. We have to approve that. The committee. Oh, sorry. Okay, so I'm going to back up. We're going to approve the committee assignments. We're going to vote on that. I need a motion to approve those.
As amended.
Yes.
I need to make one quick point before the board moves forward. We need to have some discussion on which of these are administrative committees and which of these are board committees. And the reason we ask that is because following the Sunshine Law, for example, anytime you deal with money, that is, under the Sunshine Law, an open meeting for the public. So that is a board committee. The rest of these can be administrative committees. However, the policy committee will need to be open to the public. So therefore, that will be a board committee. The extracurricular or the curriculum, all those are administrative committees. So I want to point out and make sure everyone understands, like our meet and confer, that's employee related, therefore that's an administrative committee. That's not open to the public. Anytime we deal with money, You could possibly even look at the insurance as being a board committee. Since to me, it's committing money to purchase insurance for employees, that can be open to the public. But we need to have that conversation.
Well, and probably along with that, we really probably ought to have a brief 2 or 3 sentence summary for each committee, so as new board members come on in the future and so on, and it's easier. You know, you gave us something what the tab committee was, but look at the rest of it and what are the responsibilities and
Often they meet.
yeah, as we talked about Sunshine Act, it's, you know, if they're charged with reviewing something and making recommendations, well, then they have to be an open. You know, so I think that if we could start working on that, I mean, I don't think it has to be done yesterday.
Okay. I just want to bring that up. I'll put that on the list.
And you could put that in your, you know, summary. The administrative committee does this, you know, board committee does this. But.
Okay. So we need to approve the committees.
Okay, so we're back to approving the board committees as amended, right? Did we have Eric or Derek, did you
Yes.
did the first, and did you do the second? Okay. That'll be cute. Okay. Okay, any other discussion then? All in favor? Raise your hand. All right. You're welcome. Just want to note that my committee responsibilities are pretty long.
You're efficient.
Okay. All right, now we'll talk about the 7th grade football. We need to know what the will of the board is regarding implementation of a 7th grade football program. And I see Eddie making it his way to the front.
The hot seat?
There you go. That's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
So you have some information to share with us.
Yes, ma'am. 2 years ago, the Student Committee brought forth the proposal to add 7th grade football to the Board of Education. At that time, it was suggested by several board members to please reconsider this 2 years later, because at that time, for whatever reasons, they just felt as though it wasn't a good time to add 7th grade football. It's 2 years later now. We're in the process of scheduling. We have had a number of teams, 3 to be exact, that have told us that if we do not have 7th grade football moving forward, they will more than likely drop us at the 8th grade level, because in us not having 7th grade football, we are costing them a game on their schedule for their 7th graders to participate in, so they will look for teams that have 7th grade football and 8th grade football to compete against. I put together a spreadsheet for you guys that you have there in your packets that I submitted that basically outlines the 14 schools in the Jefferson County Activity Association lower level, the MAFC lower level, as well as the MAAA lower level. There are 15 schools that have junior high football. Of the 15, 14 of them offer 7th graders the opportunity to play football, with Hillsboro being the only one that does not. 3 of those schools, I believe, I'm not looking at the document, but from memory, 3 of those schools, I believe, have a combined deal where they allow their 7th and 8th grade to compete together. If they have enough to have 2 teams, they go with it. If they don't, they allow the 7th graders the opportunity to be there. I know that Mr. Tucker spoke tonight, and I don't know you, Mr. Tucker, and I don't know Coach Arnold, but I assure you that I've never heard anything but good things about all you guys and our youth football program. And we're not looking to tear apart our youth football program. Mr. Kirkpatrick and I have talked several times as far as the issue is concerned. We have a great relationship with our youth football. And I think at the end of the day, this is about doing what's best for our program here at the Hillsboro R3 School District and trying to add 7th grade football for our kids to have the opportunity to compete against those schools. In my best estimation or mind, if we were to lose the 7th grade proposal and we ended up with a 3-game 8th grade schedule, I don't know if we'd be able to sustain that program, in all honesty. And I don't ever want to lose programs, especially ones that have a lot of kids involved and that help us do the things that we even talked about tonight with their grade point average and getting them started in the process of school and concentrating on their grades. Some of the other things, issues that we've run into, for instance, this year, we played 3 games in a matter of 10 days. because of the way the schedule works out and trying to find teams that will play us and the available dates that they have available, because again, they're trying to schedule both levels. I don't necessarily like that for our kids. I don't feel like we put them in a good situation where they play Thursday, Saturday, Thursday. By adding both levels, we'd be able to go to a more consistent schedule where they play once every 7 to 10 days, because they might play Thursday this week, but then they're not going to play till Saturday the following week. And that's towards the end of the season. We have a tentative schedule there that I've put together for you. I would like to make an amendment to that schedule as submitted, as we were able to talk to Triad, and they're going to continue to have their lower level football as well. So in place of Cape Central, we would play Triad Middle School, which would reduce that number on the right-hand side down about $260 as far as travel costs and things like that are concerned. Those numbers there, please don't hold me to them. I did the best I could in talking to Director Martin in Transportation and getting an average cost of what we thought it would break down to, and that's how we came up with that $323 a mile. As far as the equipment and stipend proposals that we have there, that was a combination of several things. That was me talking to the Festus Athletic Director, who's a very good friend of mine, and going over the list that they submitted originally and how they broke down their equipment costs, and then sitting down with Coach Freeman and myself, going through our inventory of what we have and coming up with the best case scenario of what we need to purchase to get us to sustain that program. Also, I would like to point out that with the helmets, it does say 40 helmets there. However, please understand that we're going to implement those helmets over a course of several years, because the last thing we want to do is buy 40 helmets at one time, because helmets have a shelf life of 10 years now. If we were to buy 40 helmets today, 10 years from now, we know we're buying at least 40 all at the same time. So what we try to do with our reconditioning and program that we have is you have to get every helmet reconditioned every year. And getting the helmets reconditioned, we know that we're going to replace 10 to 12 a year to keep our inventory afloat of where it is as we move forward with that. So we would not purchase 40 right off that. We may have to purchase 20, depending on numbers and sizes and things of that nature. But just understand, we're not going to buy 40 right off the bat, because we don't want to be stuck with having to get 40 every 3 years. We made a mistake about 9 years ago where we purchased 35 helmets at the same time. They're getting ready to come up, and it scares me a little bit in budgeting for that. We're going to do the best we can as far as getting it through. As far as information, I feel like I've shared as much with you as I can in a short amount of time. If you all have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer those for you.
What option, you have two options to Fox versus like Park Hills. Is that only if it's approved, or is that something you recommend, or?
On here, Mr. Lewis?
Yeah.
What I have on there is, I don't see Fox, so I apologize for that.
Yeah, on your narrative.
Right there.
That was the original information that we submitted back in 2012-13, I believe, when we went to add this. What we found was that Fox, Seckman, and Lindbergh and schools north of us do not have any junior high sports. It's all youth leagues and things like that. So that information that's in there for under option 2 with Fox, Seckman, and Lindbergh is just to inform the board that basically there are a lot of schools north of the Merrimack, I'll use as my cutoff, that do not offer junior high sports and activities. However, once you get to Jefferson County and south, there are a lot of 7th and 8th grade programs. So that was just a reference there to kind of give a broader picture of why we're looking at what we're looking at.
How many games is this season?
6. And there are, Mr. Kirkpatrick and I have talked about that, there are pros and cons for that. There are a lot of people that like the 6-game season. There are some people that would rather than play in the Gateway League that was referred to with a 10-game schedule. You'll have some parents that will be proponents for the school system because of the cost to them. It's a lot less. You'll have some that are proponent of the other system because they get to play more games. So it's kind of a half dozen one way, or whatever that saying is. I'm sorry.
That's all right. I'm tired.
6 one way, half dozen the other.
And you can't play same sport, same season, correct? Or is our junior high MSHA affiliated?
Our junior high is MSHA affiliated. So at that point, they would have to decide. For instance, right now we have 0 8th graders that play in the youth football organization because we have 8th grade football. Is it possible we'll have 0 7th graders? Sure. And unfortunately for us, and I'll go back to Coach Arnold that was referenced up here, the decision for us is now because of the way the cycle has fallen. And in 2 years, if we have to wait again, it'll be another 2 years. And in that 2 years, maybe Coach Lewis that's doing an outstanding job. And 2 years later, maybe Coach Good. And we're always going to have someone that does a great job that we don't want to upset. And our goal isn't to upset anybody. It's to try and do what we feel is best for our program as a whole.
So you're saying if the board doesn't add 7th grade, if a 7th grade program is not added, we have the potential of 3 schools dropping us.
Correct.
And what are the 3 schools?
3 schools that we have heard from. Troy has already dropped us, and I've tentatively replaced them with Perryville.
Okay.
Festus has let us know that they will be looking. Cape Central has let us know, which right now we're not planning on rescheduling Cape Central if we can stay with Triad because it's closer.
Okay.
And then DeSoto has mentioned that it's a possibility if they can find a 7th and 8th grade, they would as well.
So the difficulty in scheduling our team, I guess here's my question.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a potential in the future for, if we don't add 7th grade, that it hurts the 8th grade program, which will hurt the high school program? Meaning,
I think
if you can't find a schedule for these teams to play, then our parents that have concerns, will their kids be able to play in 8th grade?
Dr. Corbin, I think that process is already started, and that we're 2 years behind all the other schools that added it 2 years ago. And I think that those schools are already benefiting from the fact that they've had 7th grade football. They've had those kids for 2 years at the lower levels. Now, that's just a philosophy and an argument of philosophies and how we feel or think or what we deem appropriate or inappropriate. However, yeah, I believe we're already behind. Because at the time we had the chance to add it, we didn't, and everybody else did it.
Well, and to me, it only makes sense. You're missing the first step and jumping to the second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth step, but you've missed the first. My other question, that was a comment that I had.
Sure.
You know, if you're not offering 7th grade, they're going to go somewhere else. And if you do offer 7th grade, then that's going to make your school team better, which is the potential for what we want to do.
That's the goal and the philosophy, definitely, Ms. Petrie. And again, I can't stress enough the positive relationship we have with our youth football program. They scratch our back, we scratch theirs. They help us out in a lot of ways, we help them out in a lot of ways. And we would never do anything to jeopardize that relationship.
The other comment I had was, you know, I went through this, and I hated those long during the week trips to Perryville, etc., as a football mom, volleyball mom, etc. But looking at this program, and you said South, they do have 7th grade.
Yes.
Like, where's Potosi and North County and Park Hills?
They all
in
have.
our
Where are they?
schedule.
They, for
Do they not
instance,
have room for us?
you can only schedule 6 games.
Right.
So a lot of teams start scheduling each other, and them knowing that they both have 7th and 8th grade, they schedule
So
each
they've
other right
already done
away. We basically pick up a schedule based on what holes other schools have.
I follow. So we can't necessarily substitute, say, Perryville and Cape Central with Park Hills.
Correct.
Potosi.
We can't because they already have their schedules made.
Okay, that was my question.
What we have done at this point, the schedule that you see for this year compared to the schedule for last year is we've added Perryville and North County to the schedule. We'll basically be getting rid of Troy and Cape Central. So instead of going to Troy or Cape Central now, we're going to a closer Perryville and a closer North County.
Oh, current schedule. Okay.
Yeah, I think by waiting, like losing out 2 years ago, we lose DeSoto and Festus, which is close to me, so
Right.
less mileage. So
Exactly.
now we're driving to.
Can I just ask why didn't we jump in 2 years ago? Was there a particular reason or just afraid of?
I think, I don't believe you were here, Dr. Corman, is that correct?
I was here.
You were here.
My first year.
I believe that it was a deal where, to be very blunt with you, Mrs.
Yeah.
Treat, there were people on the board that were just against adding football. And so it got
no
tabled.
particular, it just
It
was,
got tabled, and then from that point,
The concussion was big in the NFL.
Well, and it's still
Yeah.
big.
And
now.
that's
And
what-
it's still
that was-
big.
it's still big. There was concerns with that, and ultimately it came down to they didn't like the figure that I've provided in front of you tonight. That's around $10,000 to add the program, because that's about what it will cost moving forward to implement 7th grade football to get us off and running.
But then what would it stabilize as?
It'd take me a couple years to build that, just because of reconditioning costs, this, that, and the other numbers. Numbers are always going to dictate that. So I would say probably between, just guessing, don't hold me to this and then tell me that I was way off, but between, if I had to guess, I'd say $500 to $7,500 additional a year. And in this proposal right now, there is no asking for a coach. It is just to, because we didn't want to get greedy.
What about, I mean, we have someone that can step in and do that right away, ready to go?
We'd have to go through the hiring process and posting the position and all that, but we have a lot of turnover in football. We have a lot of turnover. You know, you saw this evening, I think you worked on that. So moving forward, we try to fill those positions, absolutely. And we don't necessarily, we have options within the hiring process that sometimes we have to employ where they may not necessarily work here, but they may be a substitute here and they've gone through the background check. They meet Michigan has standards for people that want to coach. So if you wanted to coach here, you'd have to have at least 60 college hours, have your background check done, and then meet some coaching courses and principles that Michigan requires you to take. We've done that this year with a couple coaches we have on staff now.
I guess that's part of my issue is if we're going to do it, I assume do it right, and not having somebody in charge of that program, I don't think makes a lot of sense. So.
Well, I'm all for it.
Well, ultimately, the option is up to the parents, correct? You can't play the same sport the same season. If we have a 6-game schedule, they're not able to pick up and play after the end of our season. If they want to play Gateway ball, can they not choose both? I don't know.
Once our season is over, they can do whatever they choose. Whether they do that or not, I can't speak to that.
Okay.
I know that I'm going to use youth wrestling as an example because it's something I can speak to. Our junior high wrestling season ends at the end of December, at Christmas break, and then those kids all go join the youth wrestling club and wrestle through the end of February. They finish their season with the school and then they go to the club season. As far as football, I do not know the answer to that question.
Is there an overlap between the two?
Yeah, there's an overlap between the two. For instance, we do not start junior high football until school begins. Amy, you're here, so I'm going to ask you real quick. And then the youth season starts about 2 weeks into school, is that correct?
We start at the end of August.
At the end, so about 2 weeks.
They do not play concurrently because the teams would be filled during gateway time, so they would, if they go into school ball, they would do their 6 games, they wouldn't have an option to do anything else.
And then, so there's the answer to that question. But then, right now, some youth teams are still going, they play in a Turkey Bowl. Their playoff system just concluded over the course of the weekend of state cross country, which was November 7th and November 14th, because we helped host their Super Bowl series at high school.
Next question. This, I mean, it's an option. Our 7th grade program would be an option. Parents could choose not to participate in our 7th grade football program and stay with the Gateway program if that's what they chose to do.
They could.
Or, I mean, I don't, that's my question. I don't know.
Well, that's with any sport.
Yeah.
Volleyball,
You play select ball, you play select. If you want to play up for us, you play for us.
That's across the board and everything, yes. That if they were to choose to stay with that, they would stay with that.
Kids who learn great football, even start in the 4th grade, they would.
Well, they do.
I know.
They absolutely do.
I don't know those. Okay, any other concerns or questions? Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Appreciate your information.
I was going to say, as Derek said, to do it right, what would it add to the cost?
To do it right, you'd be looking at approximately another $4,467, which would be adding a 7th grade head coach and an assistant 7th grade coach, which would come in on the schedule at level 5 and level 4, which is what the current 8th grade coach is. That's either currently what the 8th grade coach are, or it's one step below. I don't want to misspeak there, but it's either what the current junior high coaches are on, or it's one step below what the junior high coaches are on because it's a level below. So that cost is approximately $4,467 in coaching salaries.
So they practice totally separately, 7th and 8th grade, or
They
would they
would
combine?
They
this?
would combine.
Okay.
Junior
So
high
they
would
be
combine and
sharing.
practice together.
Because I was thinking space,
They
football
would,
space.
yeah. They would go with one another.
So where would that money come from?
Out of Fund 1, general fund,
Budgeted for next year.
budgeted for next year.
Athletic fund.
Is that unreasonable?
You better get to work. If you ask, the budget.
I'm sure.
Is it Festus or was it?
That's the zoo, sir.
There's
no question about that.
No, your buddies over there don't need,
Oh, is that?
You'll see as I walk away here.
You got a green folder too, I'm getting nervous.
They don't use the same type as
Yeah.
Does Festus use the same
They got
type?
permission from the University of
Okay,
Missouri.
really?
Mr. Marino,
Yes, ma'am.
when do you need to know? I mean, I know you're scheduling and you're working on all
Honestly,
that yesterday.
Now,
Okay.
all the schedule you have in front of you is all pending whether or not we have this, because if we have it, I'm gonna call those people and we're locked in. If we don't have it, I'm gonna call those people and it's a coin toss. I don't know what we're gonna have then. So,
So what if we approve, we set a schedule and all the kids stay with the other league?
it's a bridge we'll cross when we get there and at least we'll have it.
That probably might happen. Here's grade
Okay, so we have to, do we have a motion on the floor? I didn't think we did.
I make the motion to accept it and do it the right way. 14.
Second.
Okay, motion on the floor then. Any other discussion? Show of hands then for approval, is that right? And against? We need, sorry.
I'm sorry. You signed it.
Okay, thank you. So motion carries.
Motion carries 5-2.
Okay, we're getting close to the end here. We are looking at the acceptance of the grant for the primary playground equipment. So we need a motion to accept the Guardian Hawks proposal to work collaboratively to build an all-inclusive playground at the primary.
So moved.
Second.
And very proud of
Several
them.
seconds. Okay, any discussion?
I had a couple of
You,
questions.
okay.
So the motion is just that the Guardian Hawks will work with the school district? Because when I went through the bids at first, then I went back and realized those were just examples, right?
Yes.
That they looked at those bids in order to request the,
Well, let's find out for sure. We'll
Okay.
ask the experts.
What was the first question?
all right, so the bids that we saw, those were just example bids that you used to base your grant application on?
Correct.
So we still need to get the actual bids?
Right. We kind of made a little bit of a slideshow for you to kind of go over it all, but yes. We submitted bids or asked for bids from several companies. Only one actually submitted bids that were inclusive. Everybody else sent regular playground bids, and those bids were from $88,000 all the way up to $120,000. And it didn't include any kind of site prep, making sure that an architect looked and picked out the site to make sure it was agreeable. So that's just a baseline. So once we have our final budget, if the board is going to chip in on having the district architect look at sites based on the facility plan, where the best place for the playground, if you'd be willing to use our human resources to build the playground or do site preps, things like that will all determine how much money we can spend of our savings on the playground, which of course we'd like to all invest in slides and things like that for our students.
But you'll come back to us with that plan. Right
Yes.
now, it's just, hey, go work together with the Guardian Hawks. Because I noticed like the Miracle Bid one actually had a drawing and pictures of what they're doing with Hutchinson. And I didn't see any diagrams or anything what they were even talking about.
They're, sorry, let me an executive summary.
We've been playing with them all night.
Everybody sits in the chair.
The bids were renderings based on the area in between our bus parking lot and the road. That was based on just the gentleman used Google Earth to figure out how much space we had, and that was just a rough estimate based on that. We don't know that that's necessarily the safest place for a new playground to be, or with the building plan, as far as if we ever added on, if that would be the best spot, or if the Civic Center is ever going to make that a road that is not just ours. So that's something to consider. Would you like to see the slide show?
Sure.
All right.
Definitely.
Here we go.
Put it together. We don't watch it.
All right. All right, so once again, you know the Jefferson Memorial Community Grant awarded our Guardian Hawks $120,000. And they are here tonight, so if you don't mind, I'd like them to stand up just so they can Our President, Teresa Varner, our Vice President, Shannon Strum, the Secretary, Sarah Duncan actually wrote the grant.
Congratulations.
Parliamentarian is Anna Stroder, and she's right there. And then we also have some members in attendance as well. So ladies, Mrs. Saharsky, she's back there, she's our Guardian Hawk. So thank you ladies for all of your efforts. So once again, we've got awarded $120,000, and you've already agreed to work collaboratively. And since you've done that, we can now meet the deadline of 30 days. And there's a copy of the actual grant stipulations in your executive session. There we go. Next time.
This is just sort of a recap on why the primary building why this need has arisen. First of all, our students don't have, because of our building population, do not have access to the playground every day. What they do is they split their time over the bus lot and then also the playground. Mrs. Petrie was actually there this morning. I'm going to put a shameless plug in as well. I'm deferring from the slides, but our Guardian Hawks yesterday actually were thankful for our teachers and did something nice for our teachers, and then this morning also delivered donuts and coffee to our transportation, our drivers. So thank you all for that.
Fun.
So as it stands now, they play on the bus parking lot. We try to get supplies, playground toys for them. Because of budgets, that makes it a little hard. They roll down the hill and then they're gone forever. But the playground equipment as it stands right now is very limited on its accessibility for all of our students, even incoming kindergartners without any needs beyond the average incoming kindergartner. Those steps are awful tall for them. This will provide ramp access for all students, regardless of ability. A couple of diagrams here. I'm a hand talker, so I'm going to stand and point if y'all don't mind. Yes, this was kind of the rendering that was in the $120,000 range, which we felt was probably the most inclusive for where we currently are. This over here is actually a swing that is a sensory swing for, again, some of those students to be able to access. The Guardian Hawks have already come up with some ideas to possibly expand that. What it does not include is a traditional swing set, which would be an added cost dependent on where the meeting goes and what happens there. This is actually a sensory area. It has some sounds, some instruments, some things, again, for all students to be able to do. Everything is ramped, and the highest fall height, I want to say, was 36 inches on this, which is huge for our students. Poor choice of words there, I'm sorry. It's huge that it's only 36 inches, I'm sorry. But it does provide access for them to be able to walk up. The ramps are also ADA compliant, so students in wheelchairs can also access that pretty easily there.
All right, so over the last 3 years, the primary has saved $9,100, and the Guardian Hawks in just 1 year raised $7,116, which is amazing. And of course, the grant will give us a total of $136,216, which for our bids, once again, that only included the actual equipment and the play and pour surface area. It does not include any of the prep work or having an architect clear the area.
Mr. Good had sort of asked about the timeline, and what our plan is to meet the Guardian Hawks have their regularly scheduled meeting the 8th of December. After that meeting, we are going to meet with Mr. Bess and Dr. Kornman as well to sort of lay out the plan. The Miracle Network is actually sending a representative to sort of finalize some of those plans with us. We'll also at that time discuss and be able to provide the board any extra requests that you all have with regard to any extra incurred costs that will come up, so that we can have that in the board packet, so you all will have those in December. That will then set us up for January to be able to meet and establish the budget, with the committee that was formed, and as well as provide Miracle Network at that point will provide us a final rendering, and then the students will actually be able to, we'll have sort of a process where the students will be able to select the coloring for the playground. Yeah. Which will then lead us into February with the finalized color and plan for the Board of Education as well to support. We'll also have a rendering ceremony so that everyone will be able to see the unveiled final plan for the playground, which would then set up March, and the board to host a groundbreaking ceremony, and then hopefully April, May, and that is sort of a tentative timeline. I would personally like to move it up, but I understand the process, to the playground construction and the Board of Education to host a playground dedication at that point. The reason I say move it up if we could, and that this says April, May, some of our Guardian Hawks members have students that will be moving on to the elementary. While it will be accessible all the time to our community, we would like for their students to be able to utilize that as soon as possible.
So when we're looking at cost analysis, when we come back in December, we'd like to be able to tell you how much it is to add the dumpsters, how much site prep will cost us, how much it will be to have an architect come look at the area, and of course what our final playground structure that we'd like that to look like. And we'll also have to consider the cost of having those two ceremonies of the rendering and the groundbreaking. And then one more. Okay. You already, of course, approved to work collaboratively, so now we're going to ask you to consider using district funds as far as human resources to prep the site, possibly using district architect to, choose the most accessible, safe location for our new playground, and then possibly installing the playground as well.
Okay. It looks really cool.
Awesome.
I'm excited. I want to go play on the slide. So we need to, as a group, we have a motion on the floor, so we need to decide if we want to work collaboratively, which sounds, like they have things all put together. Do we have any discussion by board members about the working collaboratively motion?
Except for just thank you, Sarah, and your team. I mean, that's just phenomenal. $120,000 isn't something to sneeze at.
Okay, so let's vote. All in favor? Raise your hand. Okay, perfect. Great. Now, the next motion is the nitty-gritty one, I guess. It's to approve district funds to procure an architect, site prep for the playground, and installation of the playground. So I need a motion for that.
So moved.
Thank you. Aaron, second. Discussion.
Okay, and you're going to bring those estimates back to us next month, so.
So you wouldn't go into it, you wouldn't make an
Right.
decision.
So we don't actually have to approve all of this, or we should?
We would like your direction to tell us different.
Well,
So we could amend the motion,
Because right now you just
because we need the information before.
Yeah.
Right, and you don't know what we're paying for.
Right.
Because if you need it, yes, but
We can give you a line item of what each thing will cost. Let me see.
You can amend the motion, say the board will consider
Approving.
further information.
But you still need to I guess you're gonna get the architect.
They're wanting to know that if, yes, but you can't approve a cost that you don't know what the cost is.
Right.
And they're saying they just want to know that you will consider paying for the cost, and they'll go find out how much the cost is going to be. I think this way I'm
Right.
taking this.
We can't make our playground budget
Sure.
until we know what you're gonna pay for. Because we wanna spend the max amount of money in swings and play structures.
They're just gonna give us estimates.
I don't know if we need
I don't think
a
you need a
motion for
motion.
that.
You
What
just
we
need
need
to come back with the
what
money,
we
what
need
they
is for you guys
projected
to
cost.
bring us that.
And then in December, we can decide. Because I think it was.
So, instead of voting down the other motion, I think maybe withdrawing it.
Just
Motion to
withdraw it.
yes.
I agree.
So we need that from John and Eric.
Yes, are you going to withdraw the motion? That's good. So therefore, we're just giving you permission to get the estimates and come back and tell us what you got.
Everybody walking on clouds?
Thank you.
Great
Thank
job.
you. Okay. Oh, we got a lot accomplished, guys. Very good. So I need a motion to adjourn closed session. No, sorry, open session. I'm tired, I
Wait,
guess.
no. Yes.
See, I knew I did.
We're not closing it, we're not
You're
closing
right.
open yet. We're-
Okay, so we're going to reconvene closed session. That's what we need a motion for. So moved. Thank you. Thank you.
5 minutes?
And we have to do roll call for that? Roll call vote for this one. I know.
Okay, Mrs. Welker?
Yes.
Mr. Cruz? Mr. Lewis? Mrs. Petrie? Yes. Mr. Stevenson?
Yes.
Mr. Good?
Yes.
Mrs. Street? Yes.
Okay, we'll give you 5 to 10 minutes here.